Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Live. Yes, in your shot there is our musicians. We're going to try and get them ready for you by 7 o'clock. For now, though, let's head to the Ticket Pro Dome, where the Photo and Film Expo is underway, which is the largest photographic event in Africa. Sam, good morning to you. What is going on in the north of Johannesburg?
Good morning, Lebo. Good morning to our viewers. We're coming to you live, as you rightfully said, from the Ticket Pro Dome here in the north of Johannesburg. We're here for the Photo and Film Expo. It's the largest on the African continent. Can you believe? Over 130 free workshops. It does work on a first-come, first-served basis. There are over 400 brands represented here. If you watched Morning Live a week ago, you would have seen me interview Matt Raven, who's the organizer. He joins me to quickly set the scene for us. I'm also joined by Craig Anderson, who's doing a workshop on making the invisible visible. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Matt, let's start with you. This event has been around for over 8 years, has grown in leaps and bounds. The doors open at 9 o'clock this morning. If you haven't been here, what are we expecting?
Well, Saturday's a rush, so get here early because it gets chaotic. We've got, as you mentioned, the workshops, which are the main feature of the event. They are coming up. We've got 130 workshops over the 4 days. You've got only 2 days left to catch the last couple. And amazing product launches. We've got the first medium format Fuji on the continent here available to actually test. We've got some amazing new 360-degree cameras. We've got drones. We've got absolutely anything that you want to see is regarding photography. This is the place to be.
The other thing that I love is that you've got something for me in Lebo. You've got an old inflatable area where Lebo and I can go and jump on jumping castles.
Absolutely. There's a little space for the kiddies. If you've got your kids and you want to go to a workshop, bring somebody with to look after them and keep them entertained there, and you can go and enjoy the workshops and so on.
Craig, let me bring you into this conversation very quickly. You have a very interesting workshop. Talk to me about that, making the invisible visible.
Yeah, thanks, man. Making the invisible visible. I'm basically a street photographer, so people who walk down the streets, they don't see anybody, nobody sees them. I'm there with my camera, so I make them visible. So it's recording the characters and the people that you see on the street and taking their portraits, so making them visible.
What was it about street photography that got you hooked? I mean, you could have been in studio, you could have done some of the traditional stuff, but street photography has a vibrancy of its own, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I like to think of myself as a people's photographer. So I like photographing people, and I like photographing them, the characters, the stories that they have, and the interaction with them for me is very important. So I'm walking in the streets, I take their photos, I'm using a 50mm lens, I'm right in front of their faces. Once the photo's been taken, we engage and we talk, and that to me is the main thing.
How does street photography differ from conventional photography in a controlled environment like a studio?
Look, it's so dynamic. Everything happens at a pace that you got to know your equipment, you got to know your light, you got to know your compositions. You have to anticipate. You're seeing the subject that you want to take. You have to get ready. It's so dynamic. It makes everything else for me slow motion. So working in the studio, doing a wedding, doing a couple shoot, it's just slow motion. So that's great for me, you know. So.
Matt, this is some of the interesting stuff that I think Photo and Film Expo has managed to kind of pioneer. Getting people to think out of the box, investigate new ways of connecting with the visual medium.
Exactly. People think of photography and they kind of think of the basic portrait studio, like in the good old days with the guy with the cloth over his head. And but it's changed so much. If you look at even the media photography that we're getting with these protests and absolutely some amazing work. Street photography where they catch the moments. Then later on you're going to look at the underwater photography. We've got so many different versions. We've got Unequal Scenes here. It's an American guy. He's been taking images of drone footage of townships right next to golf courses and squalor right next to luxury. He's doing it around the world, but the gallery that he's got here is all the inequality in South Africa, and it's an amazing gallery.
There's a conversation that you and I had a little bit earlier, because maybe from a very layman's perspective, I made this statement saying, I thought with the advent of cell phones and people and technology getting smarter, that people would move away from photography. But you said in actual fact, it's a gateway to photography.
Definitely. Smartphones really get people into it. And Instagram and all these social media sites have got people almost competing against each other. They'll photograph their food, they'll photograph their babies, their pets. But once they get into it and they see that they're creating these works of art, they suddenly want to now advance a little bit and get better equipment to get even better images. And that's where they come and they purchase the big bodies and the camera bags and the tripods and all the accessories that go with it.
Some of the talking points today that you'll be touching on, Craig, when it comes to street photography, what is the takeaway that you want people to walk away? If there's one thing that they take out of your workshop today?
I want to inspire them. That's what I want to do. It's street photography and what it's done for me and how it can help the guys that are going to come and listen to me today. It's how to use it, how to inspire them to get the best possible photographs that they are able to, and thinking out of the box and sharing some of my techniques that will get them to where they want to go.
Okay, the doors open at 9 o'clock. When is your workshop?
Okay, so workshop today is at 11:30 at the In Focus stage. So please pull in. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have an absolute blast. I hope to fill out the gallery like all the other guys have. Get here soon, guys, because it fills up very, very quickly. And it's an absolute blast here. There's so much to see. There's so much to do. There's so many products to see. There's so many awesome people to meet. Look forward to chatting to you and everybody that comes and joins me at my workshop.
Fantastic. Okay. That's Craig Anderson. He's hosting a workshop. It's called Making the Invisible Visible. And then, of course, Matt Raven. He's the organizer of the Photo and Film Expo. It is the largest of its kind on the African continent. Over 400 brands, as I've mentioned. Doors open at 9 o'clock. You've got no reason not to be here. Bring the family, bring the friends, even invite your enemies. I promise you're going to learn something together. We're taking that break. Don't go anywhere.